afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another riveting, amazing, exciting propaganda cast from your host, Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda, Hero Psych, Defender of the Fatherland, your Lord and Master, who drives you on towards ever greater victories. We're off here to 1 vs 1 on Crossroads. Yes, again, Crossroads again. In the south, we got Bushido fighting for king and country, the Commonwealth. The Guards Armored Division tasked with clearing out the Germans here, holding up this area, this advance under the command of Deep Dark Fantasy, fighting for the Oberquist with the 1 and 7th Panzer Brigade here with Overwatch Doctrine, Bushido with Royal Artillery, Royal Engineers and Commandos. We got Infantry's Jaeger, Medical Bullets there for Deep Dark, and for Bushido we got Infantry Machine Guns and Anti-Tank Guns. A double section start following up with the Venerable Universal Carrier. There's Deep Dark's Fantasy's Volksgrenadiere and Sturmpioniere advance as well for the German army. The Volksgrenadiers clutching their K-90Ks tightly in their hands. Sandbags rapidly being thrown up here in the south. Leonfields being slightly tucked away as they lay down sandbags. And we got Royal Artillery. So two overhauled doctrines, though Royal Artillery is only in that sense, at least on a sort of surface level, been less changed. It's mostly just a lot of the abilities have been in some way heavily changed, or just made better in some ways. For example, the Valentine's a bit more cheap and accessible, and the artillery support group section, which by the way is a leftover from the beta, where it actually called in a larger thing. Actually, I think called in an officer that could call in, do some stuff with that as well. But basically, just the section also got buffed, since that one didn't always do a lot. By Kidnap from for Deep Dark Fantasy, of course, usual British meta involves, universal carriers nowadays, so it's the Oberkommando best. You rather need a Raketenwerfers unless you want to go for a lot of Sturmpanies, which can work by the way, but most players don't, since that's not part of the meta usually. But again, you need the Raketenwerfers since you do not have easy access to Pantherfausts, and the Universal can always just roll over your Volksgrenadiers easily. So again, unless you're willing to commit to double Sturmpanies, which again most players aren't, you go for the Raketenwerfer. Point here being seized. Note hereby is putting pressure on the left flank here of the Universal Carrier. They could use it to support his troops as they advance, but instead he's going to try and harass Deep Dark Fantasy, causing a bit of discomfort. Some aggressive moves there. Go Fulters rushing over the section, but across open cover. They could even try other approaches to minimize the incoming fire. But in this case, Deep Dark Fantasy goes for the raw approach here, the brutal approach, the non-sophisticated approach, and Bushido they just retreat. We got several kills, so it actually kind of worked out for him, losing only one section. Trot on the way there, so fast takeoff for Deep Dark Fantasy. Does not want to linger about here. Actually a very light tier 1 from Oberkommando West players. I mean, 2 Volksgrenadier Sturmpanies like Raketenwerfer is incredibly light, but the meta with the Oberkommando has changed a bit here thanks to Overwatch Doctrine and the addition now of more accessible Jaeger Light Infantry Recon Squads, which cost the same as the Volksgrenadiers, but of course versus infantry perform notably better, in particular once been upgraded with the sniper rifle or marksman rifle. So I imagine here that Deep Dark Fantasy will be employing a lot of Jaegers here versus Bushido, who've probably already bolstered up his sections. So I mean, in that regard, the revamp of the commander certainly has an impact on the meta in several ways. I mean, we're seeing something else besides Volksgrenadier spam. Now it's probably also Jaeger spam. But that's another story for the longer road. But anyway, section moving up here. So again, while he's putting pressure, fighting Deep Dark Fantasy, but Deep Dark Fantasy wants to fight, he's also pushing elsewhere to ensure he doesn't just get bogged down. Section there, almost taken out. Retreats ready to get fully reinforced. Universal Carrier hanging back. Obviously can't support here, or assault there, but it could support the section on the west. Mines happy to prevent any sort of mechanized rushes. And a battle group headquarters on the Calf Point. An aggressive setup there by Deep Dark Fantasy. He can probably now go for the Jaeger Light Infantry Recon Squad. Full section away there for Bushido. Now at the western front, actually did not really see any Jaegers. So a few Gebirgsjägers here and there, but as sort of Jaegers, really well known. The closer you had with the SS Jaegers, which were sort of more special operations rather than actual Jaegers. Fun little note there, by the way. Section moving up here, laying down some impacts. Arms here, troops reinforcing. Although got the first Jaeger squad out here, 250 manpower, immediately upgrading with the G43 sniper rifle. Popping up here to the window, well, the site where there's not so many windows, but then still retreating, he decides that he's not an engagement worth fighting, and that's always a good skill to have, just occasionally realizing, I'm not gaining anything from this engagement, I'm just going to be wasting manpower and time, so he just retreats. Much more sensible there. So again, really good skill to have there, if you want to get good at the game, or at least get better at it. Just try and always assess the engagement, like, are you gaining from something from this? What is it, and is it actually worth the cost? So, there you go. Note, by the way, again, he could have continued ground through with this guy's briefly decided someone to support. That's also sometimes, good ideas to do actually consider, well, should you actually just, be ground the point while you could instead be an assisting unit nearby? I mean, some players will just allow one unit to fight, say, against two infantry squads. Even when there's another infantry squad that could support you nearby close. In this case, we see it here. Again, he's close to ground the fuel point, so you can understand it more, but in theoretically, maybe drawn a bit towards here. Well, he got the fuel point for now. Second Jaeger squad out here, so yeah, Deep Dark Fantasy there coming into the newer Oberkommando meta, at least for some players, which involves Jaegers. If you aren't going for Jaegers, you're probably going for a lot more Volksgrenadiers, but if you are going for the Jaegers, you're getting a whole bunch of them. Not too many Volksgrenadiers. Big assault here again, cross home ground, didn't work out too well there. Section ultimately routed, taking no casualties. That actually worked out pretty well there for Bushido, even if he ends up losing the ground. He ends up making Deep Dark Fantasy pay a large price for it. Bushido Boy committing to an awful lot of infantry section there. No Vickers machine guns, which to an extent you might figure there's all this infantry, but the Jaeger line for squads can make that a bit more tricky. Still, some machine guns would still be, I think, of good utility. We got Tech over there now for Bushido, rather belated for the Brits. Wiring off the cover. I mean, he could also just mind it off, to be honest. And a flak half-track here for Deep Dark Fantasy. Not missing a lot of those as of late, but of course they are still quite useful if you're willing to use them. There's the British player who was likely going to go for the AC Mark III to counter that. It is a bit more funny choice. They were usually more choices versus the Americans or the Soviets, less so versus the British though. Again, not a bad choice, but he has to be very much mindful of the very much needed counter thrust of an AC Mark III, which can very quickly demolish the flak half track if he's not careful. There you go, infantry moving ahead here for the 107th Panzer Brigade. Advancing slowly here, Jäger squad covering fire for the Volksgrenadiers. Some poor salt there already finding himself a bit short of his head. Second him up to flank. In fact, we've got a big counter push here for Bushido, immediately reacting here to Deep Dark Fantasy's probing assault on the car front. Absolutely lying none of that German business and tomfoolery. So there you go, just huge swarming assault here from Bushido. Like ants reacted to an intruder in the hive, Bushido's men swarm forth. More Jaegers focusing right how they came with their all providing covering fire. We got the flak half tag out here. I mean, certainly with the sort of style of tactics Bushido's currently employing, a flak half tag could be really good. Arguably, a machine could also do the trick. Jaegers occupying the house, denying it to the Tommies, picking off wounded men here and there. Well injured, might also be more better way of putting our way. Flak half tack moving up. That's going to be a bit of a stick situation here for some of Bushido's men. There you go, already getting hammered. The truck, not exactly long-term strongest car, but even as all this is happening, he is sneaking up section as hit the fuel point again. Keeping up consistent fuel harassment on his opponent is definitely a strong and clever move there by Bushido. Some players will neglect that, but clearly Bushido has understood one important part of warfare. Deny the other bastard resources. Sturmpuny advancing against the section in the west. Got the fuel point there. Seizing it. Down here, troops reinforcing there for Bushido. Also noting he's going for Bren guns already. Bit of a rare combination, to be honest, as most basic players will just bolster and never get Bren guns. But Bushido here, besides going for a lot of infantry sections, is also upgrading them with Bren light machine guns, so that way further contest Deep Dark Infantry's infantry. Of course, machine guns could still feel like doing the trick nicely. But certainly, light machine guns in the sections will be quite a chance that the Deep Dark Fantasy, in particular the Volksgrenadiers, will struggle against bolstered sections with Bren guns. There's an awful lot of firepower packed into one little section. In particular, if it gets a double upgrade, they're going to be raising absolute hell here. There still remains the issue of the flak half track, and how Bushido decides to disarm that for that, of course, is going to be the big question. 6-pounder guns, Piats, or the AC Mark III? But there you go, light machine fire raking left, right section. Fortunately, out there, there's the section in light cover holding up here in the crater. Should be able to keep these two squads occupied and taking them out, but the flak half track remains a bit of an issue. He's getting some damage into it thanks to the light machine gun and the flak half track's lighter armor. Theoretically, could maybe clear it out, but just using light machine guns and all the things, that's going to take age still. Getting some good kills in there. Ultimately, the force way there. Brandhand Granada turning the entire thing into a barbecue pit. Still not on anything further from Bushido in terms of flak half track counters. A bold move. Meanwhile, Deep Dark Fantasy committing to a light infantry gun. Not bad, though at the same time I wouldn't say Bushido's really got the force composition they can really punish with that, but still, it's not a bad piece of light artillery. Probably one of the better ones, truth be told. Back here, troops healing and enforcing its section standing about here. No upgrades for that one. I am surprised he's not really going for anything or setting up for anything that can counter the flak half-tack sends. A well-handled flak half-tack can be an absolute menace for any player. There you go, Jaeger's getting veteran 2, other one's veteran 1. They are definitely proving their worth rapidly here versus Bushido, who once more though goes for the fume. Ah, there we go. That's the explosion. The command of the Valentine tank has been made a bit fast to get out as well. Now 5 command points, which is roughly the speed of a Puma. So I imagine there might be some using that simply like I know some Valorant players use the Puma, which is just, you know, they keep calling it in. Hopefully though Bushido will call up other things as well besides Valentine tanks. But we'll see. I'll moving ahead here. That's going to be a problem there for Deep Dark fans, but not just the Lycaon effort. Of course, if Bushido plays Valentine like complete sack of molten potatoes, who knows? Either the Valentine Mark 11 tank on the field. The Valentine is what was known as an infantry tank, basically a tank meant to support the infantry during assaults. So reasonable service in the early stages of the war, before supplanted by the Churchill tank. Fun fact, it was also used by the Russians on the Eastern Front. I believe they reasonably liked it. But there you go, moving about here, pursuing the Volksgrenadiers here with its 75mm gun, I believe, actually out there. Almost got the section. Volksgrenadiers, nonetheless, Bushidus always been on the defensive versus Deep Dark Fancies, losing control and resources. As Deep Dark Fancies trying to return the favour here, noting Deep Dark Fancies yet to further take up. Going for another Lycaon, we have to help deal with the Valentine tank. For now. I mean, it's definitely a strategy as opposed to just, you know, at least initially rely on the Valentine. But again, if he ends up calling in too much like a Puma, that could lead to problems if Deep Dark Fantasy counters that. But for now, we'll have to see where this goes. Also get access to smoke streams, which can be deployed from the Valentine tank. Lycaon up setting off here inside the house, or getting some hits in there. He's going for the flak after over the Valentine. Oakspokes himself is going to hit the Lycaon for other things. Lycaon makes his Panzerfaust off though. First one fails to damage the engine. The second one, Dust check was already down to half, well, already far away here. Lycaon repulsive, but the second one with the Bren gun sweeping the house with heavy fire. He's going to need sappers though now to repair the Valentine. I mean, he's got nothing to repair the tank, so he's going to have to do that fast. Could call in artillery around the area here to further soften up the German defences, or at least make it harder here for Deep Dark Fancy to, you know, form up a defence. There you go, Bunham done it off, flak after going down far. There you go, 25 pounder gun blasts away. Got a second Valentine out here for Bushido. Still no saps to fix up the first blow one. There we go. Airburst shells, leaving the flak half-track crew a bit stunned. Medic starting it there. Second Valentine something up to take a hit by Lycaon there for there. His cover does no extend. Flak half-track needs to get out of the zone of fire of the 25 pounder gun. Valentine gets a nice hit there, but also takes a hit there from Lycaon Nefas. So we got 2 infantry tanks out here for Bushido against Deep Dark Fantasy and the 107th Panzer Brigade. It's a lot of Valentine tanks, and certainly more you might have seen during most of the year. It's certainly more than one at a time. That's just not happening. But still, Bushido's going to need some sappers desperately, in the sections they can't do that. They can build trenches, they can throw about sandbags, but they do not know the tea kettle from a welder's torch. Schwer Wehrmacht Schlepper out there for Deep Dark Fantasy. I like with the Schwer Punted Quarters. Like the vultures up around here, the Battle Group headquarters to further dig in around the calf point. Jaegers continue to move about there. Still no sappers here for Bushido. They definitely should be a priority. And there you go, sappers on the way. Mine goes off, killing Soul Section members here. Flak half-track laying down heavy fire, going for the fuel point once more there. Leaves no fuel point unharassed and other stuff there. Moving up, the Valentine I think to help defend the car point. Needs to be careful there. Nonetheless though, could get baited out there by Deep Dark Fantasy and then destroyed. So yeah, that'll likely be the Schwer Punter quarters around here to cover the car point, the Battle Group headquarters. Bit of a standard Oberkommando West formation. If they decide to be a bit aggressive with it, they'll keep the 2 close, so they can that way have a forward point they can retreat and heal at that at the same time, you know, covering up a series of vital points, make it harder for the opponent to even harass them. So that can be a real pain in the posterior to deal with. ISAP's getting to work there with the Valentine tank, fixing it up, and of course refilling the tea kettle. Now going into the section there, Bren guns flying away, doing very light damage to the flak half tank, but not enough as the flak half tank is doing to them. There we go, route it. Good lord, the sandbags, they're useless. Well, they're to help against bullets, not that sort of stuff. That can take out aircraft. That's sand, man. Sand. Our first Valentine there, good to go. Technically, that's the first one, but you know. Details. Spare Panther calls up, he's up in the cemetery to help cover the fuel point, at least partially, but at least the victory point as well. Eastern point secured. Notice got like cameras ready. He's pretty much expecting a head-on armored assault here by Bushido to reclaim the fuel point. Nice work there. Also got the Aegis there. So good read there on Bushido and his tactics. Let's go there with Bushido. I mean, theoretically, you could actually throw in a smoke tune before charging in there with the Valentine. That would not have been a bad idea. On the other hand, Deep Dark Fantasy did have one miscalculation in his plans. Not a single Panzerfaust nearby. Attacking the disabler kit Valentine, making it easy to hit for the Kednefer. So right here, the entire thing collapsed as soon as the Valentine blitz passed. Though, theoretically, could have lost it nonetheless, with any bad luck. And he would have benefited from a smoke string from the Valentine to sort of cover up the assault, screen it properly. I'll wait for defended here. There we go. Veterans 1 Valentine Mark 11 tank for Bushido and the Guards Armored. Got the other Valentine saying that as well. The half-8 Veterans who won. There goes shots firing off here. Flares popping. And wiping the line for the not bad, not bad. Can he destroy it though? That's going to be the bigger question here. We got German troops advancing. Section going to make a move for it, maybe trying to steal it. That'd be a bit awkward there for Deep Dark Fantasy if Bushido was able to make off with it beneath his nose, but no. Flak half tech gets 2 bar away there on the job, causing grievous casualties amongst his men. But there you go. Got the Valentine moving up there, but Spare Panther goes up. You got a Panther on the way there for Deep Dark Fantasy in the 1 and 7th Panzer Brigade. Routing the Valentine tank there, gaining Veterans 1 for that one. Here it is halfway to Veterans 2, very good. Panzer 4 there, halfway done, victory point he needs to secure by noting that Deep Dark Fantasy has a fat victory point lead over Bushido. Fatter than Hermann Goering's waist. So there you go, flak half tech good to go again, halfway to Veterans 3. Take out for Bushido would be a good idea. Maybe, Saxon to help provide artillery fire here against Deep Dark Fantasy's dug in position around the cemetery line. That wouldn't be a half-bad choice, and instead we got a third Valentine. My god. Panzer 4, they're arriving there. Triple Valentines. Well, that certainly is absolutely unique. For now, that is, until it potentially catches on. But anyways, for now, they're pushing ahead here with the Valentine. Other Valentines need support there. Good rate encounter with the Panzer 4. Valentine, though, not exactly built for fighting against modern German armour. Section advancing here. Other Valentines getting ready for some movement here in the west. That's the third one rejoins. The third one rejoins. A bold move here by Bushido. Section there, though, got heavily plastered and wiped out by the flak half track, gaining Veterans 3. Again, a well-handled flak half track, in particular once the Veterans 2 is actually incredibly lethal, as he can do some serious damage and actually shred units that are moving about incautiously in the open very fast. So good work there by Deep Dark Fantasy keeping his flak half track alive, and well, less good work by Bushido in underestimating it. Only a fool does not fear the flak half track. Going up with the Panzer 4, but at the same time he's possibly a bit worried about mines and other things happen. There you go. Valentine moves up, shoots and bounces over the Panzer 4's frontal armour. Section they're getting blasted heavily by the flak half track. 22 kills. Deep Dark Fantasy, as courtesy of any German force commander, shows no quarter. Directed on the other Valentine. Panzer 4 gaining Veterans 1. Valentine's skirmishing here with the Panzer 4, but so far that Panzer 4 might as well be a Tiger for all their chances of penetrating that frontal armour. And for that matter, the size difference. Also a little fun historical fact, but it was actually not too uncommon for Panzer 4s with armoured skirts to be mistaken for Tiger tanks due to the way the silhouette somewhat at distance made it look like a Tiger tank. So in that regard, some allies would here and there you report a lot more Tiger tanks destroyed than actually were present, because they mistook the Panzer IV for it. Valentines are being repaired. He'd take it, which would be a good idea there for Bushido long run, but he also wants to make more use of the artillery. More Bren guns up, probably some Piets as well for the sappers. Overall, Deep Dark Fans remains in control of the situation for now. Bushido needs to pull off some really clever maneuvers and probably something with some bigger tanks rather than just tossing in one more Valentines. I mean, theoretically though, if he were to build up a sufficiently large Valentine platoon, which would definitely be a tactical strategic unicorn, I mean, he could theoretically pull off something that requires some really good management skills of those Valentines to really pull off. I mean, if he can pull it off though, hats off to him, but that's still going to require some absolutely impressive work to really manage full tanks properly during an attack. So we'll have to see, will Bushido be able to pull that off? Will he be the unicorn wrangler that the British community have been waiting for? And there we go, 4 Valentine tanks. And there you go, flanking with the other Valentines. 1 Vecchi, 2 already down to half health. They're going for the Panzer IV here. Vecchi 2 gain on the other one as well. Heavy damage here from the Kedna efforts. Big push from the centre. 1 Valentine down. Like Kedna being cleared out. Almost got the Panzer IVs here. Got Piets backing things up though. Had this perhaps been a bit better coordinated, who knows still. Impressive nonetheless in its own. We got Piets up from the section, hiding up amongst the Bren guns. That's a clever move. But there you go, heavy fits there. Almost got the Panzer over the Valentine Piet combo. Panzer IV, sliver of health left. Valentine here trying to take out the flak half track and almost got it. Panzer IV goes down. My God. And the flak half track is down as well. Gott im Himmel. And he's only lost 1 Valentine in the process. Good God. Maybe he is the Unicorn Wrangler. Anyways, got the Valentine pulling ahead. These Deep Dark fans, he might have to consider bigger things like a Panther to withstand the armoured hordes of Bushido. Another Vecchi 2, there you go. Kemper lands a good hit here though on the Valentine tank. Still, Deep Dark fans enjoys victory point. He's got another Panzer IV on the way though. He believes in the Panzerkampfwagen IV. He will destroy these silly Englishman tanks. Sap is just a fluke. I mean, he's just using Russian tactics. And Aviatzer Gates of Moscow, Ludwig. Shut up, Fritz. Sector assault called in here, trying to disrupt T. Bushido's frontline antics. We'll have to see how that works out. We're going to meet the route. He's taking that one very, very seriously for, well, very obvious reasons. Sturmpani is moving about. Jaeger's moving eastwards. Like, he left that very quickly. Good Lord, it's the Air Force. It's the Americans. Now it's the Germans. Get away. They actually know how to hit things. Section being rounded by the Volksgrenadiers and slowly murdered. Piet dropped. Panzer moving up, like lots of mines being laid down here to help catch up this Valentine horde. Alright, that's definite overkill. But whatever's there is most assuredly dead now. I think he might have lost some Jaegers to that. Oh wait, Valentine's in dire need of repairs. That's quite the tank fleet that Bushido has assembled. Could try and go for that victory point in the west, or fuel point in the west. The victory point is obviously a bit beyond his grasp there with the Schwer Panted quarters watching it. And we got Oberzolan for Deep Dark Fantasy. Very interesting, very interesting. Not a bad choice for all these sections, for sure. Though, he does like the munitions to get them a light machine gun right away. Encountering resistance in the far east of the Valentine tank there. Almost got the rest of the platoon here ready to take on the Hands again. flares off. Sneaking about on the right flank here with the Valentines. We got the platoon on the move here for Bushido. Gauging the full skin of these, so find themselves under fire here as a British armoured platoon is up on the flank here. Engaging them, and there you go. Kedron's up north, taking heavy hits here. Grenades going off in the section side. Kedron creeping up. Valentine's moving ahead again here. Bushido's armoured platoon is on the move, and there you go. Almost got the full skin squad here. Being bombarded, there you go. Wiped out with the machine guns. I think Deep Dark Fantasy needs to consider some more firepower here to hold this up. Yak Panthers and Panthers section out near Orbison. They need to retreat before they get torn apart by the Valentines as well. Other moving up the west side here. Almost ready to on another Valentine. This one is slowly approaching veteran fleet artillery raining down, but it's not stopping them. Jaegers there being torn apart by the Valentines. There you go, moving ahead. Line for gun exposed. Artillery raining down, so disrupting further. Deep Dark Fantasy defense. Line for gun taken up. Panzer IV moving out. Shoots. Penetrate, but takes hit in trend from the Valentine tank. Looks like a man went off on that Valentine. There we go, another mine goes off. Another Valentine with a damaged engine. Does he pursue? Yes, indeed. Kedron of Panther going to go for it. They're going to try and pick off one of them. Should be able to take it out. There you go. One Valentine down. One Valentine down. The crew is kaput. Another hit. They almost got another one. Section advancing up here through the center. Deep Dark Fantasy now remains aggressive in the defensive versus Bushido and his armored platoon, which is doing an excellent job in active backing out there. Love to see what Deep Dark Fantasy commits to next. Another Panzer IV here to help deal with both infantry and armor. Will he go for a Panther to maybe try and put a stop to the Valentines in a slightly superior fashion? More artillery fire raining down here to further just disrupt and break up the German situation. Kedron going to probably be trying to snuffed out. Also, I'm finally getting the light machine gun, but in negative cover with a lot of Bren guns being aimed at them, they need to reconsider their approach there a bit. Got the Valentines on the move here. A Kedron exposed. Moving up here with Panther direct here on the Valentine tank. Veterans 1 gained. PS flying out here. Troops reinforcing. And section there getting blasted. Getting overrun here by German infantry. Routed. Panther moving up. Need to cover those Pieds about. Got enough fuel now for a Panther that needs to set up with the manpower for it. If that is what he's planning. Sturmpioneers taking heavy damage. The Valentines are proving to be quite the nuisance. So you can soon go for another Panther, although again, Panther might be the right choice. It's only going to be more difficult for the Valentine to deal with. Though of course a Yak Panther could also do it with better range and firepower that way. We need to be careful here, as Bushido will seize upon any opportunity to flank the Panther IV there with his armor platoon. There you go. Garden Ace Valentine, 15 kills. Impressive handling there of the Valentines by Bushido. That is some pretty neat skills. But it looks like here that Deep Dark Fantasy is planning for the Panther. The Panzerkampfwagen infantry, though, has been severely decimated, in part by just the sheer number of Valentine tanks. I mean, this is definitely a first, but it's impressive for sure. There we go, moments away from the Panther there, getting calling in now. After that, though, he needs to replenish some of his losses. Maybe get up some support weapons. There you go, Panther on the way. Panzer IV Veteran 2, which does help it with accuracy. Another hit there, Valentine down to roughly half health. Kedron Pierce opening up, need to cover that Panzer IV. Artillery raining down the Battle Group headquarters. And it looks like it's going to pursue the Panzer IV, try and take it out, or at least destroy the Battle Group headquarters. Bushido knows no relent. Panther halfway done. Sneak up on the right side, they're going for the victory point. And we got a 5th Valentine for Bushido. Our 5th one! My god, that's a large platoon. Or squadron. I think the British actually use the squadron system, maybe. Anyways. Valentines, so many of them. Jaegers routed. Panther done. Can Deep Dark Fantasy do this? Can he turn around and defeat this armoured menace that Bushido's unleashed upon him? This is probably would be helpful if the Wehrmacht could just get a bunch of Stoogs. Just engage them. Ali Panther 4, Panther on the move, Sturmpani's backing up. Bren gun there, drop, be a good idea to pick it up tonight to the Tommies. Swinging out his own little tiny armor platoon. 119 points versus 460. Section there, blast by the Panther 4, Panther providing backup fire there. Valentine's inbound, there you go. Panther spots one, shoots, penetrates. Valentine shoot, bounces off the Panther's armor. Shoots, there you go. Penetrating, hitting on the Valentine from the Panther again. Panther 4 missed. Grab the center victory point. There you go. Another hit from the Panther. Kenneth nearby. Shoots. Fails to penetrate. Section there being routed as well. Looks like the Valentine tanks might have met their match. And as of course they can somehow swarm the Panther and flank it. A Kedma wiped out. Pretty good here for Deep Dark Fantasy. Can he take out any Valentine tanks? Almost got one there. Almost got one. Shots bouncing out a tank and arriving. Oh! Almost got a Valentine. They're all at slightly low health, but he can't seem to get a finishing blow on any of them. Panther 4 is close to the ace level, which is actually getting a bit dangerous level Bushido, since that means it has a much higher chance of quickly knocking them out. Panther slowly approaching Veterans U1. Victor complete back on here on Bushido. Machine guns would be a great help to secure some of the points. Tanks rolling back, they look like they're waiting for some repairs. Folks, because they're routed. Another Panther 4. Looks like we'll be looking at possibly one of the biggest tank battles ever to grace the battlefields of Company of Heroes. There we go, one Valentine knocked out. He's incautiously advanced into the line of fire here of Deep Dark Fantasies. Firing line there and gets obliterated. Need to be enough to extend the Panther 4, of course, but he's very close to the ace level. 6-pounder gun more on the way here. There we go. Ace level. Oh, not ace level. Still 2 levels there to go for the Panther 4. Still virtually free. Section hiding behind the wreckage of the other Valentine, meaning he can't even spot. There you go. Veterans 1 gaining the Panther. Second Panther 4 almost there. But Kedmev is moving up. He needs more infantry to help clear out all these anti-tank weapons, since they will be, quickly targeting his tanks. Nice flank by with a 6-pounder gun. Bit risky, but at the same time, by getting up there, he sort of catch the Germans in a wider field of fire. More importantly, try and have a better chance of hitting the rear armor. Some more infantry, I think, will be critical here for Deep Dark Fantasy to help clear out some of this support by flanking and looking out for those. Tanks are going to need more repairs, and long term, he might want to consider more Sturm Pioneers to help with that one, since, those tanks will require repairs as well. We can see there that Bushido is reacting to that particular issue as well by going for more sappers, since, well, he's got a large amount of tanks that need repairs too. Still, Veterinary 3, Panther 4, half fate to Veterinary 4. Veterinary 1 Panther there. Need to be careful with the other Panther on its own until then. Bushido here just setting up a anti-tank defense line, 2 at the front, 1 I suppose in theory to back them up, ensuring that even if one gets in a bypass, you can quickly deal with it. So create some more in-depth defense that makes it much harder for Deep Dark fans again just to plow through. Good move there. Ace level on another Valentine. That's 2 ace Valentines here. More Jaegers out here, just more infantry that way for Deep Dark Fantasy. Panther 4 taking headship from the anti-tank guns. Need to be careful with that, obviously. More Sturm Pioneers, I think, are going to be absolutely critical if Deep Dark Fantasy repair all this stuff fast enough so get back in the fight versus Bushido. Because Bushido's clearly realised that speed here is critical in all ways, and that includes just getting the tanks back in the fight as fast as possible. But otherwise, more infantry I think will be critical for Deep Dark Fantasy, of course, to silence these. And of course, in that regard, Sturm Pioneers can help repair the tanks and then clear out the anti-tank guns. Going for the center point here, we got 87 points left for Deep Dark Fantasy. Jaegers advancing. East side we got the Orbs on the anti-tank. They're going for the Jaeger's going for the anti-tank guns. Very good there. Jaeger Orbs that combo there with this quick line to pick through the anti-tank and crew. Nice little tag team there. Panther to go. We got the Valentine going here for the infantry to cover up the anti-tank guns. Not bad. Panther moving up. This is going to be able to hit there with a superior range. And there we go. Nice hit on the Valentine. Should probably prioritize the ace one with low health, but there you go. Almost got one. Almost got one. 6-pounder gun like Kevin moving up here. There we go, got it, but taking heavy hits here from the anti-tank weapon. Jake is routed as well, hit close being wiped out by the sheer number of Valentines. But he was able to snuff out one Valentine. Bushido's probably going to replace it, but he can't easily replace the experience lost. More Sturm punies for Deep Dark Fantasy. Finally, as realizes the sheer necessity in having to get all these tanks back. I mean, even the Germans realized this. I mean, for example, during the fighting in Normandy, Sepp Dietrich, I think the commander of the 1st SS Panzer, or at least the 1st SS Division, actually handed out medals to the mechanics for their sheer work, and those Iron Crosses, simply because of the speed with which they got German tanks back in the fight. So, I mean, if you ever want, an indication of how important it can be to get back tanks, that should be a good idea. So, good work there by Deep Dark Fantasy getting that most done. Of course, really good work in Bushido and realizing this faster than his opponent. He's also getting more sections out and now realizing he needs more to protect his anti-tank guns, since they are going to be targets here for Deep Dark Fantasy's infantry. So, ensuring he can protect them is a pretty good idea. But yeah, the longer he's got tanks doing nothing because he can't easily just send them out there, I mean, the worse for Deep Dark Fantasy. I mean, he does have a reasonably large force now out, but if he can't use it, it doesn't matter. So in this regard, having more pioneers out to repair stuff is really important. I didn't make a propaganda cause Lance and stuff like that, They're just highlighting how important it is to, repair and stuff. Anyway, it's almost got the Valentine there, but not quite fast enough moving up here. I do think Deep Dark Fantasy is making one mistake here, though, and that is he's attacking head-on into where his opponent's expecting. I mean, theoretically, he could be attacking from a lot of other angles. I don't think Bushido's been lining up his flanks, so that way try and catch his opponent off guard, and that way ultimately get some better hits in. But instead, by attacking head-on, he moves straight into an anti-tank kill zone, and immediately loses one of his Panzer forces. Again, a really good piece of advice is when attacking, try to look for other angles rather than just straight ahead. In particular, the opponent has a lot under tank guns because it's either that or you're going to need smoke screens. The problem is, Deep Dark Fantasy very few ways. There we go. Both Panzer forces now caught in it and pretty much getting punished here in the end because the overall executed a rather poorly done assault here. So good work by Bushido here punishing Deep Dark Fantasy for this not very good attack. I mean, he did, I think, have an arm advantage there, but because of the way he executed it, which was, again, very unsound, he was easily defeated. I mean, had he attacked from any other angle with a nice big push with all tanks supported by infantry, he probably could have caught Bushido more off guard. He could have probably taken out some of those anti-tank guns and taken out some tanks. Instead, he marched straight into where every tank and every anti-tank gun was pointing. That is also known as not particularly smart. But it is an unsurprisingly common mistake, or a common mistake with tactical error that's sort of committed because a lot of players just tend to just bash heads in. Flanking is usually frowned a bit upon, in some cases because it takes too long, and laziness is no excuse, truth be told. But Deep Dark Fan's going to need more tanks. Pardon might consider Yak Panthers, but otherwise more Panthers would probably be the idea again. Or armor, and all that mentioned 2 Panther by the way, definitely helpful here. But there you go, better attack here. Once more, Bushido's expecting this out to come from here. He's got all his defense lined up for it, so now Deep Dark Fan's attack from here is making more of an impact. Of course, once that happens and it's done, Bushido's like going to reorient all of his defense. Let's see if Deep Dark Fantasy then proceeds with another attack here down again, or he actually tries to attack from another angle. Oh, wait, continue fighting here, folks, need to be careful. Panther slowly approaching Veteran 3, which causes where it's going to be really great for the Panther. There you go, Panther pass on one of the aces. Bushido, interesting enough, is not taking up with calling in more. He might be suffering a bit there from some attrition here versus Deep Dark Fantasy, who is slowly approaching another Panther. Though, of course, theoretically, he could try aiming for a King Tiger. Secondly, being shredded by all the Sturm Pioneers. The Ren guns there certainly help them out as well. Valentine's coming up and biting the Sturm Pioneers. Panther can't support the houses in the way. Anti-tank guns nearby and need to be considered falling back now. I would say he's done as much damage as he could in these circumstances. Now just needs to prepare and find another angle of attack. Panther, though, halfway to Veteran 3. And again, if he can get there, it's going to be great versus the Valentines. But the primary threat to an extent is actually all of the anti-tank guns. They're much more effective against his armor than, of course, the Valentines are. They're also somewhat tricky to deal with. So he's going to, of course, have to find out some tactics to have to deal with this. And of course, in theory, line for guns to be kept them alive with smoke screen could help, negate somewhat of the incoming firepower, but he's got none of that. So it's going to come down to a really good flank and then quickly focus them down. They're using the Obersoldaten and the Jaegers there to quickly clear it out. He's also, I think, he's preparing mines, so he's got something a bit bigger planned. Bushido continues to dig in here with his defenses, trenches now. That's going to make much harder for the tanks just to push through. Well, the tank. Not exactly looking at plural right now. He's also worried about Bushido tagging into his base, though. At this stage, I don't think Bushido is very likely to do it. I mean, if you can set up enough munitions for sector assault, that could also work and make much harder enough for Bushido to actually defend, so that might be an idea, but yeah. As you can see here, though, Deep Dark Fantasy is not necessarily the greatest tactician in this sense, since again, he maybe should have figured out by the last time, again, if he keeps attacking the same spot, every anti-tank gun's going to be aiming at said spot. And in this case, he didn't make any progress, like he just took a lot of damage and then was forced to retreat. He can't go for the second Panther now, he does so. And can coordinate this with a good sector assault. He might have a good chance of actually breaking Bushido, but until then. Also, they're forced to retreat. Roughly 100 munitions to go here before he can go. That's roughly, well, 2 minutes. The Kedmouth creeping up on the west side. Panther very close to eventually free. Bushido is just flooding resources. Could consider again taking up. Instead, he goes for more Valentines. He's a true believer. He is the Unicorn Wrangler. Armored off there. Panthers are in to deal with that. Interloper. Six-pound guns moving. Actually, a bit risky the way he's moving it. Theoretically, I mean, the aim to catch it, that could be a good kill there for Deep Dark Fantasy. But there you go. Valentine's moving up. Immediately beginning blasting the Strion Pioneers out in the open. Second Panther run here, so that's going to be 2 Panthers versus 4 Valentines, but of course also the 2 6-pounder guns. Mines down here for Deep Dark Fantasy. Valentine again, the folks out there, got a Panther fast off, Panther moving up here, but again head on assault. Once more, Deep Dark Fantasy does not quite seem to be a solid learner here. He doesn't lose any of the tanks, at least so far he hasn't, but taking heavy hits from the artillery. I mean, again, when you're committing to an attack, don't just keep attacking the same spot over and over again, unless for some reason your opponent has a reason to, not want to keep pointing down the same spot you keep attacking. Problem is, Deep Dark Fantasy is so far not giving Bushido that reason. So, I mean, he's just throwing away his men at this stage. Again, really important lesson. Flanking and considering other paths of attack at times. At least just not attacking the same spot over and over again. To be any mines, I mean, that's one thing to worth note here with Bushido. He has, they done, oh, well, there you go, we got some mines now, actually, that's better. But still, Deep Dark Fantasy needs to consider another angle of attack. And again, just these head-on assaults do not work out. He's just feeding the anti-tank guns more experience, which just means next time he attacks, it only gets worse, since they can more quickly take through his tanks. Another 6-pounder gun on the way there. Deep Dark Fantasy starting to run out infantry as well. This is starting to look a bit silly in some ways. We got 3 Ace Valentines by the way out here for Bushido, and the guards armored. Bit of quiet here. There we go. He's actually sending out for something again. But in this regard, Deep Dark Fantasy does seem to be a bit of a slow actor in this department. Like, he just keeps trying and trying until at some point he just suffers enough and decides, alright, now we'll try. Instead of just, being much faster, you actually make these adjustments on the fly. So that way, trying to overwhelm Bushido. He's going to be constantly probing for the attacks of Avenue, not just deciding it like, it's like you're saying, oh, well, I suppose, like somebody has to, clean up his room. And he goes straight into the Panthers here. No offensive tanks for me. This is where probably Bushido or Deep Dark Fantasy could win a good engagement, but now it's in some ways rather too skittish, meaning he doesn't actually get any of the tanks. Strion Pioneers right here with the 2 Valentines, the Aces. Mine's going off here. Panthers moving ahead here. 6-pounder guns nearby. Not enough in supports again. If the anti-tank decides to let hell loose. Oh, there we go. We got the infantry moving actually. But we got another Valentine coming at the flank. We got For the Fatherland, the problem with For the Fatherland, which I don't think Deep Dark Fantasy realizes, is it's a defensive ability. It only works in its own territory. So there you go. The Orbs on here benefit from the Jaegers do not. But it's got 2 of the anti-tank guns, which is great. Problem is it can't finish the job. So it actually doesn't matter too much. But the idea is nice here for Deep Dark Fantasy. I mean, getting rid of the anti-tank guns is actually the priority since they have much better chance dealing with tanks. We got a 3rd Panther! 3rd Panther! Versus 4 Valentines, but of course a lot of anti-tank guns. I mean, anti-tank gun spam is a pretty effective strategy in actually dealing with tanks. And I do think they might have made anti-tank guns a bit too good in that sense. At least at longer ranges, they might need to slightly dip off in penetration. Like at times, just spamming anti-tank guns is a surprisingly effective strategy. I think a bit too cost effective. And it's also at times what rather ensures most players actually do not bother with heavy armor because, you know, reasonably low tech and low cost anti-tank guns, you know, in large numbers can easily counter it. So there might be some need for a slight turning down there at the max ranges. But anyways, we'll see. Still, 3 Panthers is going to be absolutely a huge investment here for Deep Dark Fantasy. And of course, it probably supports and attacks. It can probably pull it off. We got a veterinary 3 Panther there, almost veterinary 4. So will Deep Dark Fantasy actually pull off an assault here that does the trick? With 3 Panthers, we're just going to get them wasted. That's going to be the real question. And we got 3 anti-tank guns, 4 Valentines, bunch of infantry, and of course they all pointed towards here. So if Deep Dark Fantasy races down here with his tanks power weight not in a good push there, I mean Bushido can probably know he can do it. But if he pulls off an even slightly good assault here with, you know, some good flanks and whatnot, there might be a chance here. We'll have to see how it works out. They're going up, clearing up some of the troops here on the flank. Panthers moving up. There you go. Valentine getting shot. All 3. There you go, 1 Valentine down, Sappers wiped out, but there you go, 6 Panther guns immediately shredding the Panther's armor here. 1 Panther almost down here. There we go. Again, head-on assaults like that when your opponent has an anti-tank gun front like this is not good. This is where the lack of smoke really hurts Deep Dark Fantasy, and the lack of flanking also hurts him. There you go, easily being pushed back here by the anti-tank guns. More Valentine's target for Bushido. Deep Dark Fantasy down 266 versus Bushido's 86. I mean, a good flank for here with all the Panthers and infantry. A good flank here, maybe a bit of both. Probably done a much bigger effect, but again, once more, he just keeps attacking right into all the anti-tank it's aiming, and it's just terrible. I mean, even if anti-tank guns weren't as effective as they were, I mean, the Panthers were still taking a ton of damage. I mean, that's just not a very sensible attack he went for there. And honestly, a good attack is actually, good attack is not something you actually see a lot of. I mean, most players tend to be sort of, I would say, mediocre attackers in companies too. Like, good attack is the sort of good players you can actually keep looking for the weak spots, find them, attack from different angles. Mediocre attackers just keep attacking head on and, occasionally move to another spot. But they tend not to really sort of grasp the fundamentals of a good attack, which involve A, surprise, B, force, and, speed. In some combination, of course, you can sort of use other factors like smoke and that way make it easy to make these head-on assaults, but Deep Dark Fantasy is lacking that. Wrecking the house there, I guess. I mean, he's actually got close to the sector assault. He might be setting up for that one. But once more, Deep Dark Fantasy commits to the head-on assault. But he's very close to the sector assault here, so again, maybe he can use the tech to break up all the anti-tank guns. 10 points away, forced retreat here. Almost there, almost there. Panther being repaired out. There we go, sector assault available. If we can sort of set up a good call in here, maybe around here. Doing an attack, that is, by the way. He needs to keep his opponent focused on more than one thing. If he just calls in with nothing else, the opponent just can easily react to it. But if, say, there's other stuff happening, he's more likely to get a bit overwhelmed, struggle to get out of it. So if he can coordinate this, there's still a glimmer of hope left for Deep Dark Fantasy. Despite everything else is more or less tossed away in the fight against Bushido, he might still have a chance to with one hell of a sector assault during an attack. But if he, fumbles that, it's GG. Now he's going for a Panzer 4 here. Meanwhile, the more time he gives there, the more, deeply Bushido gets entrenched. So let's see what happens here. This was probably the time to call in the sector assault. But he can maybe see into the base area here. So he called in. No sector assault here from Deep Dark Fantasy. There we go, there we go. But he needs to keep up the attack. He needs to keep his opponent tied down. Otherwise the sector assault is bloody useless. Like any other, stuff like this, you need to keep your opponent engaged. Otherwise, you might as well be doing nothing. And that's kind of the problem here again. The way this was used was overall too slow. Didn't react until it was, pointless. And instead, kind of gets hit by it. So there you go. He's pushing ahead now. The opponent's defense has been somewhat disrupted by it, but could have been much more effective and have been, again, coordinated better. Panzer IV arriving, taking out the fort position. Infantry has already run off, so the tanks are on their own. And there you go. Tank with a damaged engine. Anti-tank can see by there you go. Pops into the trench again. The lack of infantry to even occupy the trench means... There we go. There's support. Clear that out at least, I guess. But he lost another Panther. Panzer IV moving up. Valentine sneak up something there. Need to get the infantry moving there. Deep Dark Fantasy. Get the Sturmpanies. The Sturmpanies should not have been repairing that. They should have been backing up the assault. The Sturmpanies not. And there you go, straight into a minefield. I mean, really, Deep Dark Fantasy is just floundering about. And again, he might be a good player in a lot of other regards. When it comes down to the art of attacking, well, he gets a D-. Again, he can execute it, but he's not a particularly gifted attacker, at least not for now. There we go, Bushido goes in here, immediately sets upon the damaged tanks with his Valentines and the tank guns. And that's going to be that Panther down here, and that I think is GG more or less here for Deep Dark Fantasy. Main gun out. Almost got here the Panther, almost. And Wallace down there. Good work by Bushido, good work. Took advantage of his opponent's mistakes. Played his cards correctly, good use of Valentines. Good use of defenses. I mean, overall, Bushido I'd say played pretty well. Deep Dark Fantasy on their hand, of course, partly caught by surprise still. Really just fumbled it a lot of times, increasingly. Again, the way he attacked was very inefficient, and again, very much played to Bushido's strengths and just not to Deep Dark Fantasy's strengths. I mean, in that regard, I do feel at times, in fact, Deep Dark Fantasy was not very aggressive, in the sense he didn't look for other paths to attack for, didn't try to flank a lot, he just went ahead, pushed ahead, and then of course that didn't work. How did he keep attacking until he then realised he had to attack from another angle? It made it much easier for Bushido to defend, and that's really not what you want to do. So there were some issues there, I think, for Deep Dark Fantasy. And overall, in that sense, a good lesson, why you always try to look for another angle to attack from. You don't just keep attacking the same point over and over again, because your opponent's just going to park every damn anti-tank gun on the way. I mean, he had a lot of Panthers, and he just, didn't work out because he kept attacking into all the anti-tank guns. So really, yeah. Number one lesson of this match, besides lots of Valentines is cool, is otherwise just, learn to flank. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment on it. Tell your friends, tell your family, but don't tell your enemies. This is Imperial Dane signing off. See you all tomorrow for another signing episode. Bye.